On the morning of September 11, 2001, I remember arriving on Centennial's campus when I heard about the attacks on the World Trade Center. I was my first year of teaching then, and I remember thinking that it was the scariest, most horrible thing I'd ever seen in my entire
I
life
remember
because
exactly
this
where I
was
was at
on
on
our
September
soil.
11th that morning. I was preparing for shift briefing and roll call when
I'll
dispatch
never forget
advised
where
that
I
a
was
plane
the
had
morning of
fallen.
9/11. We were watching the news and actually watched the second plane fly into the
September
second
11th
tower.
is a day that
Our
I
first
remember
reaction-
vividly. I was 20 and in college, and I was at the very end of an eye doctor's appointment when we got news
When we
that
got to
one of
school,
the planes...
nothing was happening. All we did was watch the towers fall again and again. And so my mom had my sister come and pick
I
us up
remember
from
thinking it
school,
was
and
just
the thing
like
that
any other
impacted me the
Tuesday.
most other
I woke up, I was a freshman in college. I went to the kitchenette, got cereal, and sat in front of the TV. Only I didn't move for the next 8 hours. And as my milk and my cereal got stale,
At that day, I
all that
just
happened
called
was
my
the
parents
fear
and
of
I
growing up.
kept my kids home from school, and I had the strongest urge just to fly back out to New York and to donate blood and to do whatever it was I could to be helpful. And
my brother woke me up yelling at me to turn the TV on. And when I saw what was happening with the buildings and the planes, I just couldn't believe it.
I remember thinking that it was the scariest, most horrible thing I'd ever seen in my entire life because this was on our soil. This was on U.S. soil. It wasn't footage from World War II from another country that was far away. It was on our soil. And I remember thinking how frightening and how horrible it was. And then a couple of days later, I remember seeing a pretty famous picture now of firefighters raising the flag at the epicenter and comparing it to the famous picture of Iwo Jima. I remember thinking that's why we're going to get through this, because even in that darkest hour, we still look for hope.
I was on the phone with a friend of mine here in Phoenix who is an architect. We were looking at the burning buildings in New York City on television live together, and she said, "I don't understand how those buildings are still standing. Those buildings should fall." And no sooner had she said it than the first one fell.
Our first reaction was shock and fear. My husband is from New York, his family lives there, my family lives there, so of course we immediately were concerned for our family's safety.
I was in complete shock. Unbelievable. It's something that I'll never forget.
Toughest part was not being able to answer the questions from kids like, are we okay? Is everything going to be all right? Are we safe? I think that was the toughest part for me.
The thing that impacted me the most, other than the fear for our family in New York and the heartache for our country, was looking at my nephew, who was born in 1999, and he was just a baby, playing with his toys with no idea of the impact of the attacks of that day and the ripple effect that it's had on his life and our lives since then, even though he truly didn't know what was going on.
My heart went out to the men and women of law enforcement and in the fire service that rushed into that building, and to sit back and not be able to do anything while they went in there and those buildings came down was a pretty horrific scene, and I'll never forget what I saw that day.
Thank you to the brave men and women who give their lives to keep us safe and have answered the call to do so. Thank you to all the families who sacrifice each time an enlistment contract is signed, each time a loved one gears up in a uniform or protective gear, and for the lives that have been given for defending the Constitution of the United States. I'm a proud mom of a first responder. Godspeed to him and all our first responders.
I just wanted to give a huge thank you to all of our police force, firefighters, first responders, and all of our veterans or active service members. Thank you for everything you do to keep our community and country safe.
To all of the first responders, every branch of the military, firefighters, police officers, all healthcare workers, thank you so much, not just for 9/11, but for every day. Your dedication and your sacrifice. You are appreciated.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful for our servicemen and for our police officers who keep us strong and healthy. And I'm super grateful for our military who protects our country.
Like many Americans, I hurried home to be with my family, But I'm so grateful for the thousands of police officers and firefighters and other first responders who, when something like this happens, they rush into harm's way to serve and protect the rest of us. And so for me, September 11th is a day where I feel a deep sense of gratitude to those who serve others, because I know that our lives are all better because of their sacrifice.
I want to take this opportunity to remember those that lost their life on that day, and just thank those that serve our country every day. All the first responders and the firefighters and police officers, you guys are our heroes, and thank you for all that you do, and God bless you.
I have a much greater appreciation for our servicemen and women in the military, in the police department, in the fire department, and I'm super, super grateful to be here.
And a lot changed since 9/11. Not all the best, but one thing that was positive from it is the love and respect that people now understand and show towards both policemen and firemen, both professions that are long overdue for the respect of society.